Hey, welcome Instagram Live. I'm going to wait a couple seconds for followers to come in, but anyone watching this on repeat, today we're going to go over reasons why ditching your diet is going to help you improve your relationship with food and help you kind of ditch. Hello. I'm waving. All right, so we're going to get started. Hi, Eliza. And guys, feel free to ask any questions. Hey, Tammy. Feel free to ask any questions as I talk. I'm just going to open up my, what we're going to be talking about today and go into that. And let's get started. So I'm going to go over 3 reasons why really kind of ditching diets and ditching that diet mentality is going to help you kind of get rid of, not kind of, but really help you get rid of any of your issues or concerns around food. So I have 3 reasons that we're going to go over today. And I really want you guys to be interactive. So if you're here, there's a comment box. I'm going to ask you to engage and interact with this. Hopefully we'll get some more people in. If not, cool. If you guys don't interact, that's fine. I will interact for you, but don't be shy today, okay? So 3 things I'm going to go over on, why diets can kind of interfere with your relationship with food and why ditching that is going to help you improve your relationship with food and kind of get rid of any food concerns or fears that you have. So the first thing I want to talk about is that what diets do. So 3 things that diets do. 1, diets tell you to ignore your hunger. And that's not a good thing, okay? A lot of times diets will tell you, give you tips and advice on why you should ignore your hunger. So does anybody want to chime in? What are some things that you've heard from diets that to help you curb your hunger? Tell me like one thing. I need someone to go in that comment box and tell me one thing diets have told you to do to ignore your hunger or to stop feeling hungry. Anyone? All 2 of you? All right. So some things that diets tell you are to drink water, right? Or to go do another activity, or to just ignore it, or to just feel the hunger and ignore it, or I don't know, they tell you to drink tea. Exactly, drink tea, or drink coffee or something, right? But as humans, we were built to feel hunger as a signal to tell us to eat. It's important that we have physiological and also, emotional signals that tell us that we need to eat. So physiological signals can be that your stomach actually feels hungry. It could actually be even physiological and also emotional. Is your brain telling you that you're hungry without feeling it in your stomach? Another thing that we're told, or that we could be feeling weak or feeling shaky, or maybe even feel irritable. So that could also be emotional. Biologically triggered by hormones. Some of those things can be triggered by hormones. But oftentimes the presence of food, I'm going to wave hi everyone that comes in. The presence of food itself can make you feel hungry. So if you go to a lunch, or, we're not going to dinners right now, but if we go to parties and dinners, we will get back there and you feel hungry. It's just physiologically being around food. Now, dieting tells us that it's like almost like a sin to feel hungry, that we should not be hungry. We should ignore our hunger, in order to reach some sort of manufactured, Sarah, thanks for always chiming in, some manufactured, some manufactured body ideal. That's where I'm getting to, manufactured body ideal. So by ignoring hunger, supposedly through diets, they're telling us that we're going to then eat less and then lose weight and then we'll be thin, okay? And that thin ideal is manufactured by society, manufactured by the media, manufactured by diets, okay? So what this does, ignoring our hunger, what does that do? It kind of builds a mistrust with our body that we are biologically born with. We're born with body trust. So we're born with the ability to know when we're hungry. All of you guys who joined, not myself, have children, and you know that when babies cry, they're hungry. No one's telling them they're hungry. No one's telling them to ignore their hunger. They're crying because they're hungry. Kids innately have this in them. It's somewhere along the line where us throughout the childhood, throughout lifespan, that we screw this up. So ignoring your hunger builds mistrust with your body and our natural signals to tell us that I'm hungry and therefore I must eat. So it's not a sin. It's not wrong to feel hungry. You shouldn't feel guilty if you do. Building trust with your body is important. And I often give people a hunger scale to kind of restand and relearn their hunger, because a lot of times I get people who do not have hunger. Okay, so that is one way you can kind of disrupt your relationship with food and kind of get confused by food. Now, number 2, diets make so many false claims. Like, the list can go on. It's a laundry list full of false claims from diets. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a drink. I'm talking a lot today. So, for example, one of the big ones I see is don't eat anything white, don't eat anything processed, don't eat anything sugar. So when they say don't eat anything white bread, white flour, sugar, potatoes, things like that tell you to eliminate. And so I've heard all this stuff, and I had even followed all this stuff. So when I got to school to be a dietitian, I was like, okay, wait, when am I going to learn about this? Because I really believed that it was something real. So I was waiting for the class, I was waiting for the information, and it never came. Really, the only thing I learned is that things that are white, let's say white bread versus whole wheat bread, is whole wheat bread has more fiber. That's really what I learned. But if you go and look at the packages, the calories don't change. If I look at a white potato versus a sweet potato, the calories really don't change. Maybe nutrients here and there a little bit, but calories don't change. Okay? So, another false claim diets give us is that you are guaranteed a certain amount, you are guaranteed to lose weight if you do this. And often the things that they tell you to do are super restrictive and mind-numbing and mentally and emotionally just exhausting, okay? So what does this do? It kind of sets us up for this expectation that we need to adhere to. So I need to adhere to all these crazy things. And inevitably, we often fail, right? So inevitably, when I followed the no white diet, right? So the no white foods diet, I failed. I failed because my body and my mind just could not keep up with the unrealistic demands that the diet and the false claims that it brings us. So what does it do? Is it becomes highly restrictive. And when things become highly restrictive and we fail, we feel like a failure. Oftentimes I know myself have felt the thing like, oh, you're a failure. You're never going to do this. You're never going to be thin. You're never going to lose weight. You're never going to reach this ideal that you have in your mind. And so this restriction and these false claims set us up for failure, right? And this goes into my last one. My last thing that diets do, right, is that they tell us, they create this restriction and fear around food. So back to the white foods. It creates this fear around, I can't eat pasta, I can't eat bread, I can't eat potatoes, I can't have any sugar in my diet, I can't have any of this, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. So it's creating this restriction, number 1, and number 2, it's creating fear. And of course we want to emphasize whole foods. Of course we want to emphasize fruits and vegetables and, dairy and eggs and whole grains. We want to emphasize those things, but demonizing the other foods in our diet creates stigma and fear. Now think about if you have kids, right? When you tell them, don't do this, don't do that, don't touch this, don't touch that, what do they do? Tell me, what do? They touch it. I have done this to my niece and I've done this to my nephew. Don't do that, please don't do that. And what do? They do it, right? They eventually do it. Inevitably, they do it. So if we they touch it, exactly. They touch the thing, they do the thing, they break it. Like I've had sunglasses broken by my nieces and nephews when I asked them, please don't touch it. So we create this fear and this restriction around food. And obviously our brains want to test that. So I want someone to list right now foods that they have been told to restrict or foods that they've been told should be forbidden on a diet. Someone, give me one food, just one. So 3 of you are here and I get 3 people to list one food. I'll have 3 foods. And there's a laundry list. Anyone? I'll wait 10 seconds and then I'll give you one. One food. Okay. So 1 food I've already mentioned, potatoes. That's 1. Bread. That's another. Now, if you look at a ketogenic diet, they tell you not to eat bananas. Pizza. Okay, 2 pizzas. Okay. Girl, you got to find some pizza this week, whether you make it at home. You want pizza. I knew any food that anyone wrote, that's what they want. I want pizza. My Friday nights are always pizza. So those kinds of foods. So they tell you to restrict them. And what do you want more of? I know when I've been on diets, all that I've ever wanted more of is the food I restricted because it sat in my brain. Chocolate. Girl, chocolate is, I'm going to show you. Where is it? I might have finished it. But underneath my desk, yeah, it's gone. We have chocolate underneath our living room table because we know at night we want chocolate. So we keep chocolate under there. But we know that reality is that we can't restrict these foods forever. And a lot of times we're restricting, we're building fear. And that's really what perpetuates this binge restrict cycle. So I restrict and then I go and I have all the things, I have all the foods, and then I pull back because I feel like I need to go back on this diet because when I was on the diet, I was in control and I didn't binge and I didn't do this. But then when I got off of it, I did it all again. So the idea is that we don't perpetuate that cycle of binge and restrict and binge and restrict. The idea is that we cultivate a healthy relationship around food where pizza and chocolate can be a part of our day and it really might not change your body. I'm speaking to you right now. That used to be me. I'm speaking to myself. I'm speaking about my former self. Anything I post is not about anything I see. It's about stuff I've also experienced myself. So that binge restrict cycle, I've done it with peanut butter. I've cut peanut butter out and then before you know it, the spoon is in the jar. And that totally destroyed my relationship with peanut butter. I had love and hate. And I eat peanut butter a lot and it's okay. And it's within what my body wants and my body needs. So a big part is building, letting go of that fear and rebuilding that relationship around the foods that we have formally restricted or formally built fear into. And doing that is really doing the work. And it's not, I tell people all the time, it's not easy work. If you guys work out, you know that building stamina is not easy work. This is like building stamina again, but in a positive way where nuts are life, especially peanut butter. Nuts are life, especially peanut butter, right? So this is building stamina in a different way, right? Building up your resilience and building up your mental tolerance to let go of those fears. Because let me tell you, diet talk and diet mentality is going to be everywhere you look. And a big thing is having the tools and having the knowledge to spot that, oh, that's diet. Oh, that's not good for me. That's not healthy for my mindset. That's not healthy for my psyche to be continuing to put those restrictions and things in my diet. Now, restrictions can be helpful, and I do understand in certain ways. They can be helpful, setting a limit where maybe you don't keep things around or maybe you set times for things. Those can be helpful, but it's really looking at what are your intentions around that restriction and is it building a fear? And then is that leading back to that binge and restrict cycle? And so that's something that we want to stop. Okay, so by quitting dieting in general is going to help you relearn your hunger. So 3 things we learned today, right? They tell you to ignore your hunger. We do not want to ignore our hunger. We do not want to ignore those signals. We want to rebuild trust within our body because I guarantee you 99% of us have lost trust within our body. 2, diets make false claims, and we want to learn to be aware of what those false claims are. And if you have questions on something you saw, ask me. I'm a dietitian. I know a lot about food. I know a lot about the body, and I can spot it from a mile away what a false claim is. Okay? Lastly, one more sip of water before I get to that. Lastly, diets create restriction and fear around food. And that's really, really the big thing is that restriction and that fear around food that we want to step away from. All this talking that we want to step away from and we want to move from fear to, being open and free, right? So from fear to freedom around food. And that is actually a very attractive, very fun place to be because now that we're in this crazy, insane time with this COVID atmosphere, being fearless around food and having freedom can really, really help you in this time because emotions and stress and trauma can trigger that diet mentality right away. And it did for me, but thank God that I have the tools to pull myself out of it. So those are the 3 things you learned. I want you guys to review them. Go through your fears. What are your fears? What false claims have you heard? Freedom. Yes, we're all about freedom, 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 right? Look at those false claims, look at the paleo diet, ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting. Look at like all of those popular diets right now are making a lot of false claims. There is some truth to it, but a lot of false claims. Okay. And then I want you to look at your fears around food, fears and restrictions. I'm going to put a link in my bio where you can sign up and you can receive from me a sheet that talks about fears versus reality. What are your food fears and what is the reality around it? And you can kind of fill it in and identify what a better time to self-explore. So guys, that's it for my live today. 15 minutes, chock full of knowledge. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to put the link in my bio in just a few minutes to get access to that sheet. Thank you guys so much. Virtual hugs, virtual kisses to you all. Signing off. Peace.